Many people repeat, "Who am I?" thousands of times and nothing happens. The mind keeps spinning, the thoughts keep coming, and self-inquiry feels like it simply does not work. But the problem is not the practice itself. The problem is a fundamental misunderstanding of what Ramana Maharshi was actually pointing at. Ramana was not giving people a phrase to chant or a mantra to repeat. He was pointing to something far more direct, a simple shift of attention that most people completely miss. And to understand what he really meant, we need to look at something very ordinary that happens all day long. Thoughts appear continuously. A worry about the future, a memory from the past, a reaction to something someone said. Normally, we follow these thoughts without even noticing, and before long, we are completely lost inside the story the mind is telling. Ramana's teaching interrupts that habit with a single, quiet question. Instead of following the thought outward, you ask, "To whom has this thought arisen?" The answer that comes naturally is, "To me." And this is exactly where the real inquiry begins, because now a much deeper question opens up. Who is this me? When Ramana pointed people toward "Who am I?", he was not asking for a philosophical answer. He was not asking you to say, "I am consciousness," or "I am the self." Any verbal answer would simply be another thought, and self-inquiry is not about producing better thoughts. It is about looking directly at the one who is thinking. Ramana was asking you to actually look at the sense of I itself. Every thought we have carries a quiet sense of ownership behind it. I am thinking, I am worried, I want something, I feel happy. This I seems to stand at the very center of all experience, but when you pause and genuinely look for it, something unexpected begins to happen. Right now, if you like, you can try this for yourself. Let a single thought come to mind, any simple thought at all, and instead of following it, just ask, "To whom has this thought appeared?" Notice the instinctive answer, "To me," and then gently turn your attention toward that sense of me that is aware in this moment. Do not look for words or images. Simply rest as the awareness that is already noticing. You can observe thoughts rising and falling. You can observe emotions coming and going. You can observe sensations moving through the body. All of these appear and disappear. But the one who claims ownership of them, the one who says I, turns out to be surprisingly difficult to locate when you actually search for it. Here is a simple example from daily life. A thought appears. I am worried about the future. Normally, that thought would immediately pull you into imagining problems and spiraling into anxiety. But self-inquiry gently interrupts that pull. You pause, ask, "To whom has this thought appeared?" And instead of answering with more words, you simply turn your attention toward the felt sense of I that is present right now. You notice the quiet background feeling of being the one who is aware. That gentle turning of attention is what self-inquiry actually is. Nothing dramatic needs to happen. You are simply looking at the one who claims ownership of the thought. And when you do this repeatedly throughout the day, the thoughts gradually lose their power to pull you into long chains of automatic thinking. Ramana sometimes referred to the personal sense of identity as the I thought, the root thought from which all other thoughts arise. I want this. I don't like that. I remember this. All of these depend on the prior assumption that there is a fixed and separate I at the center of experience. Self-inquiry examines that assumption directly, and what it reveals is surprising. When attention turns honestly toward the I, the sense of self is not as solid or as permanent as it first appeared. It is more like a movement in the mind than a fixed identity. When you look carefully for the one who is claiming all these thoughts and experiences, it becomes surprisingly difficult to find anything solid there. This is the discovery Ramana was pointing at all along. This is precisely why repeating "Who am I?" like a mantra tends not to work. Repetition keeps the mind busy producing more thinking, more mental noise. Self-inquiry is not about finding a clever answer. It is about looking directly at the one who thinks and allowing that honest looking to do its work. Ramana often said that when attention returns again and again to the source of the I, the mind gradually becomes quieter. Not because you are forcing it to stop, but because its lifelong habit of chasing thoughts begins to weaken on its own. Attention rests more naturally in the simple awareness that is already present, the awareness you have never actually been separate from. Ramana Maharshi's question, "Who am I?" was never meant to be repeated like a mantra. It was meant to turn attention back toward the one who experiences every thought, not to produce a verbal answer, but to reveal the source of the I itself. Once you begin to see this clearly, self-inquiry becomes much simpler and much more direct. But there is still one thing most people get wrong, and that is knowing exactly when the question should actually be asked. Get that timing wrong, and self-inquiry stalls. Get it right, and everything shifts. Watch the video on your screen now to find out, and the link is also waiting for you in the description.